Earlier this week, Dan Quinn set up at his press conference and said that he believed that the 2025 Washington Commanders hadn't found their identity yet. And I'm not going to lie, I thought he was a little off base and off kilter when he said it then in real time. But after today, watching our Washington Commanders suffer yet another blowout loss in prime time, I feel even more vindicated in my belief that I had then. This team definitely has an identity, and I'm about to tell you what it is. What is up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Bleeding BNG. To give you a timestamp as I do for all of my episodes, it's approaching midnight in the wee hours of Tuesday, October the 28th, 2025. And we're about an hour or so removed, or I'm about an hour or so removed from watching our Washington Commanders get completely dismantled in the second half by the Kansas City Chiefs. Straight BTA, straight belt to ass. Straight belt to ass. And in the cold open, I told you that I'm going to tell you what the identity of the 2025 Washington Commanders is. Because you come to Bleeding BNG for the most raw, uncut, and unfiltered analysis on your Washington Commanders. And before I go ahead and tell you what that identity of the 2025 Washington Commanders is, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to go ahead and smash that like button, smash that subscribe button so you're not missing any of this content on your Washington Commanders from Bleeding BNG, excuse me. Now let's get into it. Because I think the truth of the matter is that the identity of the 2025 Washington Commanders has been etched in stone since the offseason at the earliest. And the identity of the 2025 Washington Commanders is that this team is old and slow. Like I said, it's been like that since the offseason. But now, after our Week 8 loss against the Kansas City Chiefs, after watching this team for 8 outings, I will say that not only this team is old and slow, but now we're injured on top of that. And no, I'm not using injuries as an excuse, but it's definitely an explanation. It's definitely a footnote as to why the 2025 Washington Commanders season has gone how it is, or how it has. Is it the main character? We can debate that. We can definitely debate that. But an hour removed from, as I said, watching the Kansas City Chiefs putting belt to ass to my Washington Commanders, I've been alluding to it in the previous episodes earlier in this season. But I'm going to just come out and say it now. We just simply don't have the horses. We don't. We just simply don't have the horses on this roster. Now, you can contribute that to a multitude of things. You can. You can contribute it to Ron Rivera. I know we're going back to the Rivera era. You can contribute it to Ron Rivera missing out on all 4 of his first-round draft picks. You can contribute some to that. You can contribute this to us being in year 2 of a rebuild. No matter what you thought of the 2025 Washington Commanders prior to the 2024 season, nobody would have expected us to have these expectations that we've had, or that I have over here at Bleeding BNG come week 8 of 2025, if we're being realistic with ourselves. But you can also attribute it or contribute it to us having the AARP All-Stars, the first team all senior citizens, and this team falling by the wayside with injuries like old rosters do, like old players do. I think all of those things, all of those details has had in the season that we're looking at. And I know some people that watched my episode last week in my recap after the Dallas Cowboys loss, they got mad that I kept comparing, or got a little upset, got a little tight, that I kept comparing this season to the 2013 season from the Washington Redskins at the time. But you guys got to understand, one of the biggest reasons why this season to me feels like the 2013 season, which I've already called the season from hell, and this season is starting to feel like it's from Satan, if I'm being 100% honest with you, is because the 2024 season and the 2012 season are so comparable, as those were magical seasons. The only two of the 4 or 5 magical seasons that I've experienced in my near 30 years of life. And the reason why we talk about these years in specific as anomalies or as outliers is because we're not used to sustained success in this organization. The type of success that we've gotten since the Joe Gibbs 1.0 era is flash in the pan type of success. Success we get once in every blue moon. And how I'm feeling right now is that the 2024 season might have been a once in every blue moon type of season. Because yet another blowout loss in prime time. I don't know how much more of these I can sit through. I'm ready for NBC, Fox, the NFL, whoever called the shots, flex us out of these games, bro. And it's not a coincidence why I'm always left in primetime games feeling like this. You know who gets the primetime spot? The Titans of the NFL. The elite clubs of the NFL. And a lot of people perceive the Washington Commanders to be an elite team going into the 2025 season. Silly them. Silly them. I bought the hype too. But it wasn't just me. It was the national media. It was Vegas as well. We had the 6th best odds to win the Super Bowl prior to week 1, going into the season. Look up 8 weeks later, and that shit sounds like a fucking joke. And this game is on prime time. This game is nationwide for the world to see. And the reason why we fall on our face so much in prime time is because there's still levels between us and the elites of the NFL. There's still a sizable gap between the Washington Commanders and the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills and the Philadelphia Eagles. And with this game being on prime time, like many of our games are about to be, it allows the world to watch us get our fucking belt handed up to us, our asses handed to us. I know Dave Chappelle from Washington, D.C. I don't know if he's a Commander fan, but I hope he ain't watched this game tonight. He might have, though. It was the only game on TV. But he could damn sure make a stand-up of how the 2025 season has gone for the Washington Commanders. Because everything that could have went wrong has gone wrong so far. Everything. Everything. Because let's just look at this game. Let's just look at this game because I think today's game is a perfect microcosm of the season. And we're going to title this episode Half-Baked because our Washington Commanders gave us a half-baked effort today. They look like a competent NFL team, not an elite team. They look like a competent NFL roster for one half today. I didn't know who the hell that defense was in the first half. Then they turned back into the pumpkin in the second half. They said, oh, it's the week of Halloween. Let's be festive. Let's turn back into our pumpkins that we've been in the prior 7 weeks of this season. But you come out, you get the first possession with the ball. You start driving down the field amazingly in my perspective, in my point of view. Cliff Kingsbury marrying the pass with the run as much as you can out of shotgun. You know he's allergic to running out of center or under center. So he's marrying the pass with the run as much as you can from out of shotgun and out of pistol. We're driving down the field. Looking like we might be Goliath again, conquering David. Get in the field goal range, get close to the high red zone, and then goofy-ass Deebo Samuel bounces the ball off his chest for an interception. Clicked-ass, goofy-ass Deebo Samuel. And I promise I'm not going to be on here for half an hour ranting like an old Bleeding B&G episode. My blood pressure ain't built like that no more. It's not. And I'm ready to go to sleep. That's what these fucking primetime games do to us. I'm not used to these. My team been ass all my life. I'm not used to these primetime games. I'm still getting acclimated to this schedule. But after that ball fell off of Deebo Samuel's chest or bounced off Deebo Samuel's chest or he hit it up in the air, whatever you want to fucking call it, I knew we were done. All that believing in us covering the spread, that 10.5 spread at that point, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Because you can't turn the ball over. Your best or your perceived to be best players can't be turning over the ball when you're already expected to lose by more than 2 scores. Then Terry McLaurin returns today. So, Jaden Daniels was the sacrificial lamb for Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin returning today. And then Terry McLaurin put on that Terry McLaurin-like effort of 3 catches and 54 yards, 4 touchdowns. But the bad news is that it looks like Terry McLaurin might have re-injured that quad. And y'all know, I'm public enemy number 1 in the fan base for my stance that I've taken on Terry McLaurin. So y'all can imagine what my mentions look like after his touchdown, right before halftime. Like he didn't have a mere 1 catch for 11 yards after that. Everybody started to act like he was Jamar Chase again, Jerry Rice again. Terry McLaurin was the only one that's going to make that wide open catch in the NFL. They was ready to beat my mentions down. And as I've said before, I would eat all the crow in the world if that means that Terry McLaurin goes off for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. I just don't know if he's capable of that anymore. And while he's the best that we had, I started to see it. I started to see the Glaze Fest coming back because the base started to turn on Terry a little bit. Y'all started to join my side a little bit. And I started to see the Glaze Fest coming back. I kept refreshing in the mentions. There he is. That 1 catch for 11 yards. That's my wide receiver 1. The bar is low. The bar is in hell. And while I will admit, Terry McLaurin has been sorely missed. That's because we got plumbers and cashiers out there at the wide receiver position. The unfortunate news is that it looks like Terry McLaurin might be hurt again. We have to see. But it just goes along with the ebbs and flows that we've experienced as Washington Commander fans in the 2025 season. Terry McLaurin makes a spectacular highlight reel catch. Probably the first $30 million type play that he's made all season. That's the type of bag that he's making now. And right after that play, he has to come out for him not to be seen in the rest of this game. Going back to Deebo Samuel, his goofy ass, bouncing balls off his chest. I'm here to tell you now, I think Deebo Samuel might be done, y'all. I think Deebo Samuel might be cooked. That nigga's heel is made out of gelato. And you know what? Football players, their heels don't get better playing football. That's an off-season injury. That's an injury that you tend to in the off-season. The last 2 games that Deebo Samuel has been available, and keep in mind, he was unavailable in between those. He looked like me out there running them fucking bubble screens and running them hitch routes, running in motion. He looked like the fat Deebo that all the NFL fans told us that we were getting. He looked like 2024 Deebo. I saw Deebo Samuel spin in place today. Like this nigga was doing the hokey pokey. This nigga spent and got 0 yards. He spent and went nowhere. Because he know he can't plant that foot in the ground and get vertical because his heel made out of silly putty. His heel is made out of whatever Marshawn Lattimore's hamstring is made out of. And we ain't going to bet on Marshawn Lattimore too much because he made a play today. He made a play today. You know how ass you got to be for you to make one play and we got to act like you had the greatest cornerback performance of the world? But we did not get belt ass put to us today because of Marshawn Lattimore. Not by any means. Marshawn Lattimore probably played his best game as a Washington Commander today. But that don't mean that he found his hamstring. His hamstring and Deebo Samuel Hill somewhere cooling together. Because I hate to break it to you. We rode the wheels off of Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel was our offense for the first couple of games of this season. Deebo Samuel might have been a big essential part in the 3 wins that we've had so far this season. He might be. We rode the wheels off of Deebo Samuel. I hate to break it to you that it looked like those wheels only lasted for about 6 weeks, though. But these are all the things that outside fans, outside NFL fans, fans out of teams other than the Washington Commanders told us we should be expecting this year. And we just chalked it up as hate, myself included. Myself included. I was riding the high off of that 2024 season. Y'all got to understand. I ain't never been 12-5 in my life. I ain't know how to act. Now we got the same amount of losses in October that we had all of last season. Now I know exactly how to act. Because this is like every other fall outside of 5 that I've had in my entire life. That seasonal depression about to hit like a motherfucker. Daylight saving next week about to smack the shit out of me. I ain't experienced the seasonal depression last year. I wonder why. It getting dark at 4:45 didn't affect me last year. I wonder why. Because not only do I have seasonal depression, this football team just got me flat out depressed. They do. Because I had so high hopes going into this season. And for me to finally just sit back and be like, yeah, we ain't got the horses this year. We don't. Zach Ertz out there being no yak Zach again. Getting no yards after the catch. It's getting to the point where you damn near like a short pass to Zach Ertz is like a wasted down. Because he's not getting anything else out of that. And then he falls short of the first down on, I believe, our second drive, giving me fucking Pittsburgh PTSD from last year. Now, while I do think that he did get the first down, and he got hold by some virtual spot, we need to take AI out of football. Fuck is this? iRobot? Fuck is this? iRobot? So now we losing to the Chiefs, the refs, and AI. And I ain't talking Allen Iverson. Well, I do think he got that first down. We shouldn't have even been in a position for it to be close, for it to get challenged. It should have been obvious. But now with no yak Zach, you know asking for yak is too much. Jalen Lane is fucking burnt out. Jalen Lane is one of the biggest reasons why we lost this football game today. Because after that drive, after the Kansas City Chiefs' first drive in the second half, where they went up 14-7, after we had it tied going into the halftime, he drops the ball with his fucking T-Rex ass arms. The ball rolls out at the 1 yard line, pinning us deep. And then on that same drive on third down, Marcus Mariota goes to him. Why the fuck? I don't know. I told y'all after the fucking Green Bay Packers game, if we keep going to Jalen Lane on fucking essential ass money down third downs, I'm going to blow my fucking brains out. And then we do it yet again. And you know what happens? This nigga stumbles and bumbles all over himself. Ball hit his hands. Would have been a hard catch. But guess what? He probably would have made that play if he had them T-Rex ass arms. And I like Jalen Lane. But the lights were clearly too big for him today. I don't know what the fuck that shit was today. Then I'm talking about money downs, going to Jalen Lane on third down. Speaking of money downs, why the fuck does it seem like Cliff Kingsbury has a brain fart and a brain lock on every third and fourth and short, bruh? This nigga's allergic to running the ball, bruh. And while I don't think that he called a horrible game in the first half, Cliff, in the second half, you just going to gadget play and screen us to death, bruh. That's what the fuck we waited for Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel to come back for. You running gadget plays and screen passes like you got fucking athletes out there. You running 2-yard routes to Zach Ertz. You running bubble screens to Deebo Samuel playing on a peg leg. And that's why I said the roster's not it. It's not it. We don't have enough horses. Luke McCaffrey flashed today. You know, he only flashes with Marcus Mariota for some reason. For some reason. Luke McCaffrey flashed for about a quarter today, and then he was nowhere to be found. I told you he's allergic to running the ball. The Kansas City Chiefs, they didn't put 35 in the box like the Cowboys and the Bears did. Ja'Cory Crosby, Merritt, Bill still only carried the ball 9 times. Make it make sense. It wasn't like you were chasing points. It wasn't like you were down by a whole bunch of scores until the fourth quarter. And in a game where I think that Joe Witt, if it was Joe Witt, might have been Dan Quinn. We don't know yet. But I'm going to chalk it up to Joe Witt because nobody's confirmed that Dan Quinn called that game today. I thought the defense called a miraculous first half of the game. So the game where Joe Witt and Dan Quinn as defensive coordinators are in their bag, Cliff Kingsbury as our offensive coordinator turns into a fucking dunce. That's just a microcosm of our season. Complimentary football, my ass. Complimentary coaching, my ass. And the bottom line is, this just ain't our season, bro. It's just not. It's just not. Chalk it up now. Y'all might go ahead and find some errands to run on Sundays. Playoffs. Yeah, okay. Okay. Our franchise quarterback on the sideline in fucking sweats, smiling his ass off. I'm going through it as a fan. This nigga out there kicking. This fucking cheese inside. Fucking ear to ear. Grinning ear to ear wide. Having himself a good old time. And then our star left tackle that we traded for this offseason to protect him ended the game in a matching sweatsuit set with him. I told you, I started this episode saying that the quickest way or the most essential key to having sustained success in the NFL is having elite quarterback play. And while I think Jaden Daniels is an elite quarterback and an elite talent, that elite quarterback play don't mean shit if it's on the sideline week in and week out. Because Marcus Mariota was okay today. 21 for 30, 213 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. One of those interceptions clearly wasn't his fault. But when you're lacking the horses on your 53-man roster, you need that elite quarterback play that you got in 2024 from that burgundy and golden boy right there on my wall. And you damn sure not getting it from Marcus Mariota, and you can't get it from him if he's not available. It just is what it is. Moving to the defense. I think the defense stood tall for a half. Marshawn Lattimore probably played the best game that he's had as a Washington Commander. That interception that he had on Patrick Mahomes on there Their first drive, I believe, yeah, their first drive, the interception that he had on Patrick Mahomes on their first drive was a fucking play. Looked like 2019 Marshawn Lattimore. Looked like he had two good hamstrings on that one. And I know y'all call me an armchair GM, and I wasn't the only one out there on it. And I've alluded to this before. But y'all, sometimes the fans are right. I don't want y'all to always dismiss every fan's opinion on the roster, on the personnel. Because sometimes I think we care about this team and a little more invested in this team than the actual coaching staff. And let me tell you why. I'm not saying that, well, we need to have NFL head coaching jobs. We need to be NFL coordinators. But who would have fucking thought that giving Tyler Owens and Jordan McGee a significant amount of snaps would make your defense look much faster? Who would have fucking thought? You know who? The fans. The fans. My Bleeding Me and G followers on Twitter that tell me that's week in and week out. The ball knowers. Why did it take 2 months for it? Joe Witt, Dan Quinn. But guess what? Even with all that speed, and I'm not saying that Jordan McGee and Tyler Owens played perfect because they didn't. They still had some coverage breakdowns. We still got another week of a Bobby Wagner low light in man coverage. Who the fuck's bright idea was it to put Bobby Wagner on Rashee Rice? They did that shit last season. Go back against the Detroit Lions in the playoff game. Bruh, Amon-Ra St. Brown found himself matched up against Bobby Wagner so many times. They exposed it a couple of times. Dorrance Armstrong got a sack on one of them because Amon-Ra failed. Death taxes and Bobby Wagner getting cooked in man coverage. That's what you can expect to see every week in 2025. Death taxes and Bobby Wagner getting fucking flame boiled in man-to-man coverage, no matter who he going against. That's not a Joe Witt issue. Joe Witt tried to put the speed on the field. You can't try out Jordan McGee and Kane Madrano out there. You can't. Who's going to wear the green dot? I like what I saw from the defense. They essentially shifted their entire defensive front, ran down there exclusively a 3-4 look with 3 safeties in the first half. Don't know why they got away from it in the second half. I don't even know if they got away from it or Kansas City adjusted. But it was clear as day that it was levels between us and the Chiefs in the second half. They said, oh, that first half was cute. It was cute. You guys put up a nice little fight. What that old guy used to say back in the day? They had us in the first half. I'm not going to lie. The Commanders had us in the first quarter of the season. I'm not going to lie. I know these niggas cook now. No pass rush. I thought the secondary held up pretty well today until the fourth quarter when Patrick Mahomes just started doing whatever the fuck he wants. We got to remember that is Patrick Mahomes. But the secondary can only hold up but so much when you're not getting a pass rush. Or you get your only pass rush from Jacob Martin, who played like a fucking demon, played like his hair on fire. But there's a reason why Jacob Martin isn't a household name. Jacob Martin been in the league for some years now. There's a reason why you're just hearing about him as a Washington Commander. You ain't even know the teams he played on before this. So while kudos to Jacob Martin, you balled out. You would get a game ball, in my opinion. 2 sacks today. I think that the biggest thing that this team is missing, amongst a plethora of things, they missing a wide receiver, they missing a couple explosive pass catchers, they missing a lot of things. I think the biggest thing that this team is missing is a hellified edge rusher. Not only a pass rusher, but somebody that can do it all as an all-around type player. That can hold an edge as well while giving you the type of pass rush, quick twitch, and things of that nature. A game breaker to say. And you know what? A lot of us thought that going into this season, right after the 2024 offseason, we thought that was a need. But Adam Peters just had to have him some Josh Connolly, right? Adam Peters just had to have him some Josh Connolly, right? How's that working out for us? Or can I not talk about Josh Conley? Because he's a rookie and he's just switching to his right side. So that absolves everything that we see with my own two eyes over here, Bleeding B&G. Man, I know I said I wasn't going to rant for a half an hour, but with this fuck ass team, man, I can't call it. I get on my soapbox and just start rambling. But 3-5, season's almost pretty much cooked. I'm gonna let you know now. Terry McLaurin seriously re-injured that quad, and Jaden Daniels can't go next week, like Adam Schefter alluded to prior to today's game. We might as well start packing that shit in, tanking for the season, tanking for that top 5 pick. Ruben Bain or Cassius Howley. And that's how I'm feeling. Thank you guys for tuning into this episode of Bleeding B&G. As always, smash that subscribe button, smash that like button. If you're not following us on social media, what are you doing? At Bleeding BNG, BLEEDING, BNG on Instagram, BLEEDIN, BNG. So there's only one G in our X handle, BLEEDIN, BNG. If you're listening to us on audio-only platforms such as Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please leave a rating, please leave a review. That's how we finesse these algorithms so that when you're searching anything watching the Commanders, Bleeding BNG is that number one content hub that pops up in your search bar. Reaction video coming out tomorrow. You don't want to miss that. And yeah, man, I'll check in on y'all on the flip side. I'm out.